we're coming to the end of the Scott Fishbowl drafts. I know we got a few that are still going. Is like myself, I'm in round like 17. A few of us are done. I think Jeremy finishes on ours. But what we're diving into is the end of Scott Fishbowl, and now we get into the regular season part of it. But in the meantime, you probably are wondering like how your team did, how your build turned out. So that's what we're here for. We're here to rate, judge, be the jury, all the fun stuff to let you know how we view your teams and your chances moving forward if you make the playoffs. So stay tuned as we dive into those builds next on the FFU. And welcome in, folks. It is myself, Jesse, and I'm here with Jeremy. We are rolling with our Scott Fishbowl. We've done this about the last 2 weeks straight. We've been Scott Fishbowl pilled, you could say. We have been having quite a good time doing all sorts of roster reviews. How you doing today, Jeremy?
Yeah, man, hanging in. I ate way too much dinner. It's 8 o'clock here over in Amsterdam. I just want to take a nap. But first, we're going to get into the Scott Fishbowl. We're going to check out some rosters and see how people did, at least according to us. But at the end of the day, who the hell knows? But we'll give you a rate and review. If you want to join in the discussion, throw a comment over on the YouTube channel. We'll make sure that we post it up. And then, of course, if you can, throw a picture up as well, and we can rate your team live if we get to it.
Yes, we posted it like 2 days ago and got way more responses than we anticipated happening. We're like, hey, posted in the link on Twitter, and it blew up. They're like, all right, cool. I guess people still want to know about Scott Fishbowl. So we're diving back into more Scott Fishbowl. This is what it's all about. So I guess we'll start out by talking about our builds. Why don't you tell everybody how you feel your build team did and where you think, like, how would you rate your squad, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I wish I was prepared for this with like a photo and and actually looking at it and remembering. Yeah, my draft ended a couple of days ago, so I have the photo here. We're gonna go ahead and go old school with it. Can
there you go, baby.
Even see what's happening?
I see colors. I see lots of colors.
Oh, we're okay. Yeah. We're okay. All right. So we got Lamar and Kyler at the top. Stacked him, Kyler with McBride. I was one pick away from stacking Lamar with Mark Andrews. Andrews went, but I was happy to get the value on Pitts there. And as you can see, a ton of running backs, mix in some wide receivers here and there. My first one was Deontay at the 10.07. Love that value. And then really in the second half, just picking up value with guys who I think are tremendously undervalued or have the upside if starter goes down. And, really from picks 13, if you think Curtis Samuel could be involved, he could be.
Right.
Really from round 13 all the way through round 19, I was just picking up guys outside of Jermaine Burton because I need a wide receiver. I was just picking up guys who could have a role in the return game. Those return yards are massive. And at the end, I need to grab a kicker. I'm a big believer in Rasheen Ali, at least the opportunity there. And Wandale's in there as well in case he's the number 2. So overall, I'm happy with it. We're grading everybody else. I will grade myself a solid B+. Happy with it. Wide receiver will be an issue if Deontay Johnson doesn't come through, but I think he will.
Yeah. Hey, Hayden, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. Atomic. Ooh, nice. You're in the Luke Hobbs division. I think somebody knows in the division now. But anyways, we'll take a look at that if we get the chance to do it. We have quite a few. If you want to comment on the post below on Twitter, you're more than welcome to get it in. But the time being, we got about 35-ish teams we got to go over. So it's going to be a little rapid fire here on the FFU. I'll give you a quick on my squad real quick, just to give you guys an idea of what we're looking at here. Here is what we did. I need to zoom that out a little bit. The Lamar, we did the Daniels, rushing quarterbacks. That's what you want in this format. The 2 volume workhorses, Gibbs with Kyron, and then I've been Rashid Shaheed pilled, so I went with him in the 5th. I know we had some divisive comments on that in our group chat, but I was like, listen, he can break fantasy in this format, so I'm all aboard that. You know me, I will risk it for the biscuit with this format. Got the last tight end I like, who could be a top 5 tight end, David Njoku, and then it was just taking shots like you talk about. Take Dell, guy who gets potential receiving workload, with kick return volume. Jonathan Brooks, he's the RB1 in this draft class. I love him. Deontay Johnson. By the way, all 4 of us went Deontay Johnson. So
Yeah.
Deontay could crash all 4 of our teams, or, he can carry us up. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be a fun experience with Bryce Young. Come on, Bryce Young. DeAndre Hopkins, I view him as a wide receiver 1 Tennessee. I got to get my guy Geno. I could have gone McCarthy, but I was like, nah, I'm just going to go with Geno here. And then BTJ, we talked about this yesterday on our show, the potential wide receiver 1 Jacksonville. Tyrone Tracy, I think, do all 4 of us have Tyrone Tracy as well, Jeremy? I think so, right?
At least 3 of us.
Yeah, at least 3 of us. I think I think he's looking to getting Tyrone Tracy. And then I took Tucker there. I let Aaron kind of talk me into it. I don't feel great about that pick, but it's part of the stacking, so I'm okay with it. Wicks, Gibson, and Juwan Johnson. It's an interesting team. I don't feel, it's not how I wanted this draft to go at all. Like, I was planning to hammer these return specialists. It did not go that well. So, I feel like it's like a B- in that range. We'll see how it goes out towards the end. I like a lot of the guys, just we'll see. I'm very much under that. We'll see how it goes. It's not the worst build. I'm okay with it. So I'm happy with a few of the guys I took and I reached for them. That's what it's all about. And I see, you got a much better view of your son. We're gonna share.
What's that?
I see the Twitter you're going through right now. All the fun ones we have on the views. So we can hop in and dive into a few of these and just have a good time.
Give me a second, because you mentioned the return ones, and I'm scrolling down to like the last one. Here, because I just have to pull it up. Man, did I lose it already?
It's great podcasting material we're doing here. But anyways, if you guys are curious, it is on Twitter. It's the FF Universe. You can go follow that. Go subscribe there. You can look. It's one of our posts down there. I think it's the one we just quote tweeted. I quote tweeted myself on JMO5. You can find it. If you scroll far enough, you'll see a ton of comments and replies from us on there. So if you're wanting to join this fun experience we're doing, more the merrier. We like it. We'll go from there. So I guess we can talk about this. For you, what is something you noticed in particular draft that you did not expect going in, Jeremy? Is there anything that kind of stood out to you?
Not particularly, only because this is my 4th Scott Fishbowl in a row. It is the first time that I decided to grab 2 quarterbacks at the top. I was a little concerned about that. Typically, I pushed QB2. I ended up with Zach Wilson one year, which did not go well. I think I had Mac Jones last year. Obviously, that did not go well. So pushing QB2, I was not willing to do that this year. Ended up with Lamar and Kyler. So after that, taking those 2 tight ends in my particular league, the value fell there for me. I wanted 2 top 6 guys. It just worked out very well. And then from there, I was just wide receivers went so early. I did not expect that, them being kind of to my mind, the least valuable position, because again, you just have to start one of them. And then it's really just a matter of, the value on the board in terms of those elite guys who are going to get the volume in the receiving game versus the guys who are going to get the volume in the rushing game and how the points work out. I ended up kind of just passing up wide receiver altogether because it was just crazy at the top how fast wide receiver went.
Yeah, Dave nails it. Like Lamar and Kyler, that's a fun 1-2 punch. Like, it's really hard to beat those two. We both got Lamar. I almost went with Richardson. I was like, should I do it? Nah, I'll go with the safer guy, Lamar. So I'm with you. My strategy was to fade my QB2, but there's no way in hell I thought I was going to get Jaden Daniels in the 4th, and I was like, well, fuck, I'll just pull the trigger on Jaden Daniels because why not? Because the upside's insane with him, and if it crashes, oh well, it's just life. That's how it's going to go. As long as it's not as bad as my Eckler, freaking Henry, and who was a Mark Andrews start last year, I think we'll be fine because that was a dumpster fire. Let me tell you what. But that's that's life we do. We're drafted in July. We still got a long ways to go. So ideally, I wanted to do like Geno as my QB2 in this type of build, or one of those players late, because I feel like those quarterbacks kind of get devalued to the point. Like we see Bo Nix is going in like the 14th round, which seems kind of crazy to me because he's a starting quarterback with rushing upside. And I know people don't think like the situation is that good, but I'm like there's format incentivized rushing quarterbacks more than almost anything else. So like he should be going rounds above some of these guys. Like I'm seeing some of the other quarterbacks in that range, and I'm just like, why are you taking the Bryce Youngs of the world over these guys? Because they're not going to rush. They're not going to give you that upside. So I feel like these rushing quarterbacks like Drake May, like unless you think they're going to start, then that's a whole different discussion. But they should be getting going like a lot earlier than they are. That's the one thing that stood out to me is like the quarterbacks went early, and then there's like this gap in how it works. Is like people kind of push up the other positions once we get outside of those top like 14 quarterbacks. It kind of really were people forcing up other positions where there's like this I think in my draft, there's like 3 or 4 rounds where a quarterback didn't even go in the middle, where people were just like, nope, taking other positions. And then you get to like round 9, round 10, and then people start like, oh crap, I got to get that other quarterback. And then it kind of comes back in where people are starting having those quarterbacks. So it's just similar to Superflex drafts, how that kind of goes. It kind of went that way. It's just, I was curious to see with the receiving specialists how those guys were going to do. Some of them did go really high, like myself taking Shaheed. Mims went, he's ADPs all over the board. A couple of these other guys, it's very incentivized, so it's interesting to see. And yeah, you might have an idea going in, and of course, each draft's different. Like you look at some people's drafts where I know someone took like JJ McCarthy in round 3. I don't know what happened there, but somebody did that. Like, you know what I mean? So, and there was another one. Hawkins went in the second round, and it's like, all right, we're doing some wild stuff here. But that's what makes all this fun. Each league is its own little market, so it's fun to see how it goes and shakes out because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's a really good segue to the first roster that I have pulled up. So let's go ahead and take a look at this beauty. Let's see. Whoop.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So let me go ahead and just make this bigger and have a look at this one. This is the ultimate definition of a unique build. As you can see, Jesse was hyping up the return guys, not as much as St. Louis Oil hyped up the return specialists. This is literally all return specialists, but hey, you can flex pretty much all of them. And if some of these guys hit, you got them all. So you shouldn't really have an issue. And then, 2 top tier QBs at the 1 and the 2. You got Njoku there, who you talked about. So this is a fun one. Jesse, being the resident, expert on the return specialist here. What do you think about this?
Well, Dave is with this is awesome, and I think it is very much like this is a YOLO build if I've ever seen it. I will caveat this by saying I do like the return specialists, but I like the return specialists who have a role on the offense. Like that's how you get the Rashid Shaheed. We've kind of like on different group chats and Discords and stuff like that. We talked about potential guys that could be Shaheed this year. A lot like Turpin's not going to have a role on offense. Davis really isn't going to have a role on offense. Gibson's not going to have a role on offense. And I will say Tucker and Duvernay have potential roles on offense. I like those guys. But you're getting them much later. So, like, Hardy's a good pick. Barrios, I love that pick. Kenny Nwongo, that's another guy who's going to be a monster pick returner. Great picks there. This is the YOLO build, and you can clearly tell they went in. Once they got their 2 quarterbacks and their high-end running back, who I think a chain is. So I'm fully on board with the chain and third. I know 100%. That's risky for a lot of people, but this fits this person's build. Look at this. Jaden Daniels, super risky quarterback. Don't care. The format loves him. Chan, the guy that can break fantasy. Shaheed, the guy that can break fantasy in this format. The Joker is like, all right, I got my tight end, and I know we are just hammering returners. What I love about this is going to live on a roller coaster. This team will probably put up 350 points in 1 week. They will legit do bonkers in 1 week. 1 week, the next week they might have 100. This is how this format's going to work with them. So. Yeah, you can tell this was their plan going in. So, hey, if this was your plan going in, you nailed it. I am very nervous about this team because you're not taking another quarterback, which I think is a very interesting decision to do that because you have so many return guys already. I don't think, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they need to mix it up, maybe take another quarterback in case something happens because you're basically searching on the waiver. If Daniels or Love get hurt, right? That's the whole thing. But I think their thought process is it doesn't matter if they get hurt. We're just going to YOLO it. So, I think this is a B+. I'm more bullish on this than probably a lot of people would be. But if this was your plan going in, you nailed this plan. So this really this is one you could see immediately happen. How do you feel about this team?
Yeah, I gave it a delicious with a question mark. Maybe it's great, but maybe it's terrible. I'm not a big fan. I don't love to risk it for the biscuit, but it's really hard to argue, like you're saying, in this particular format with just kind of these YOLO builds. The balls on this guy, or gal,
stones.
congratulations, well done. So, but yeah, we love to see things like this, and this is why the Scott Fish Bowl is so great because you do not have a strategy year over year. The rules change, and all you really need to do is have fun. But you also, as Ryan says, you also want to go down as a legend if possible.
Oh yeah,
and this would be a legendary W right here. For
I can imagine
St. Louis Oil.
Scott Fish being like, remember that year in 2024 when St. Louis Oil just ran the gauntlet with every potential returner in the league? It's like, yeah, this is how you really want to cement your name and legacy. Like, this is how you go about doing. You will 1,000% lean into the strategy. So yeah, like I get it. Like Anthony Gold's another guy's returner. Jaquan, it's literally every returner in the league. I think this guy has like half the returners in the league, like legit. At least.
Yep.
The rest of the league's like, whoa, what the heck's going on?
Let's have a look at this one. This is Mr. Me Seeks FF. Me Seeks. I feel like I know what that's from. What is that from?
I don't actually know. Okay. It seems familiar, but I do you have an idea? Because I don't. I'm blanking on it. I don't know.
No, can't think of it. But we're moving on here, and we'll talk a little bit about this build. So you got CJ Stroud and Kyler Murray at the top. I love this. You got a ton of wide receivers and Njoku again, and then backfilling with running backs that we love, Jesse. What do you think about this build here? Personally, I love it.
Yeah, like I know the last guy got Worthy in the 11th. Worthy's more going in this range of the 9th, so I think Worthy is a good pick. Rick and Morty, Dave nails it. Yeah, like you're taking upside shots, and Charbonnet, Vidal, Marshawn Lloyd, if they hit, this team becomes a juggernaut. Like that's how you really get there. Spears is a return guy, Trey Benson. Really, like this team needs a couple injuries to break their way, but if they do for that running back room, you have stud wide receivers. Like you have 2 high-end quarterbacks. If Njoku is who we expect him to be, like this is where it all comes together. So I think you're really dependent. And with Bo Nix, you give yourself a guy that can replace those weeks that you're missing. I'm not sure if Nix and Stroud have the same bye week. I'm not sure they might. But with Charbonnet, Vinal, and Lloyd, those guys stand out. Benson, Spears, that group of running backs they took. This is the type of build where you go wide receiver heavy. Yeah. You need those guys to hit. If they hit, this is like I like the upside of this, but the downside of this, you can clearly see the downside with this team. But hey, like that's what this format's all about. I think this one's like I like this team a little bit more than the previous one because you're more investing in like what you like. The upside shot's probably not as high as that team. So yeah, it's right in that range. I was gonna say that. Yeah. I think it's like a B-ish range for me. I don't know. You might be a little bit higher on it than me, but I just like what they're doing with those running backs because they went in with a build, all those wide receivers. I think they just took the best value on the board, like with those wide receivers and fell because that seems like what they did. And I mean, you got Shaheed in the 8th, like you can't complain with that. I love that. And then Worthy and all that fun stuff. What's your favorite part about this build?
Yeah, this is me here in the comment section. Wouldn't have 0 RB the fishbowl, but you would have, and you did, and it's sexy. If I'm going 0 RB, I want a better tight end than David Njoku. I want one of those top 6 guys. So I would forego at that stage, Brandon Ayuk doesn't matter because he's at the turn. But I would probably push Harrison, forego the stack. And, Trey McBride could have been there at the 301. So that's something that I personally did in my build that I would prefer. I would want a tight end here just because of the settings. It's really hard to argue getting Marvin Harrison here, though. But yeah, and Ayuk, I don't love Ayuk as wide receiver 12. We know he can do it. We know he probably should do it if all of this dies down with the turmoil of him leaving. We know he could do it somewhere else. It's just there's a lot of volatility there. So yeah, I don't love some of these picks at the top just because the volatility. That said, it's super sexy otherwise. I mean, these are all the running backs that I'm targeting late in 0 RB builds regularly in Dynasty and redraft leagues. So really hard to argue with that. And Greg Dulcich, I think, is a sleeper tight end. We saw him do it his rookie year. He's been injured. It's possible. But yeah, so I don't mind that pick super late as well. And Rasheen Ali, I love him. He was my last round pick too. I just think the opportunity is there. So overall, I think it's a great build. But David Njoku, David Njoku in the 0 RB build is a problem for me.
Would you rather go McBride and Devontae Adams, flip those picks? Like that's basically what you're talking about. McBride's 301, so they could take McBride. In the 5th, you'd be looking at like George Kittle. Would you rather go like Kittle with that pick? Not Kittle, Devontae Adams, and go McBride? Like, would you rather go that strategy where you get Adams the 5th? Okay, yeah. 100%. So like if you flip those two guys, I think it's a more interesting build because I just think it's really hard for Harrison to pay off the cost of where he's going in drafts. Like wide receiver 8, it's possible. Like he very much could do it. It's just like you're asking a lot. He's an incredible prospect. That's like, or I'm not discounting Harrison. I just think it's like I'm with you. I personally would rather get that elite difference making running back or if it was like a higher end wide receiver, like if it was a Jefferson or St. Brown, one of those guys in that range, I think I'd feel a little bit better than Harrison. But yeah, like this team, I really like this build. I think they did this very well. Like you can't really complain. We're just kind of just nitpicking this a little bit overall, but yeah, this is somebody who knows what they're doing. They did a really good job playing the board and how it felt to them. So yeah, I'm all about that.
Let's just see where this stops here. This is Joel Worth. Joel Worth, let's take a look. You got CJ Stroud and Brock Purdy in the 4th, which is nice value in Purdy. You get McBride and Kelsey at the top. We know that we love our tight ends over here in the Scott Fishbowl at the FFU.
Yes, we do.
A lot of Ayuk posters here. Hard to argue the talent there. But Ayuk, Dell, Adunze, Addison, Brian Thomas Jr., Ricky Pearsall, Luke McCaffrey is the entirety of the wide receiver room. That's a ton of volatility.
Yes.
Otherwise, I love this.
Yeah, you can tell this is a dynasty manager who's drafting because of how much youth they took on this roster. Like, I don't think there's a guy. I think the oldest guy on this roster outside of Derek Carr is our QB3, which it's Jawan Johnson, who's like 27. Like it's every first or second year player on this roster. So this person clearly values youth. I think they went a little overboard with youth because when you go this heavy with youth, you kind of want to like insulate with some guys are more proven producers. Like when you talk about the Jordan Addison range, the Rome Odunze, the Tank Dell, they could like substitute a guy who more solidifies that roster because you're taking shot after shot after shot, and then you're doing it with your running back room, Kendra Miller, Ty Chandler, Tyrone Tracy. Like it's just they're taking on a lot of risks with this build. Now it can hit, and if this is what you wanted to go going in, but like going the 2 elite tight ends, which is kind of what we talked about at the beginning. The Purdy pick and Ayuk, I'm kind of like back and forth. I think Purdy's fine value where you got him QB 15. The upside might not be as tantalizing as other guys, but I think he's a good pick in Ayuk. Like, I think you're going to be happy with this roster. I just think you're like 80% of the way there. I just would have preferred switching in a little bit more like consistent producers, particularly in where they took the Brian Thomas, Kendrick Miller. You can get some like older guys that are a little bit more production where you know what you're going to get. But like, if you want to go YOLO ball, which they clearly did, like that's a solid build. I like it.
Yeah, I agree. Brock Bowers for me is a little too rich in redraft at the 6th, 7th round, but it's hard to argue that. I mean, it's really possible for him to immediately step in as the number 2 target. I think he's better than Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers may not think that, but I think it'll be really interesting to see how he's utilized right away if he can step in and be that guy. If he is, this is a monster squad because I think
100%.
Tank, Rome, Ayuk are going to get theirs. Addison, I'm not big on. I wasn't big on before, before his incident, simply because there's just a lot of mouths to feed there. It's a rookie quarterback or Sam Darnold. You don't know what to expect or how long Hawkinson's going to be out. But Addison the 10th, could be a steal as well.
It's like, that's discounted for a reason. Like I don't mind him at that cost. Like you're kind of like you're getting him more or less at his floor cost. Like, what is he going to be? Maybe wide receiver 50 worst case. Like that's kind of so. Like I don't mind him if you're getting him at a good value in that range. Like he was a fine player. I know people are getting down on him from dynasty perspective. I get it. Like the high end ceiling's not there, but I think he's a solid NFL player, and that's what you're getting there. So like, I don't mind Addison. It's just the whole issue with the drunk driving, and that thing's probably going to make him suspended for a little while. So we'll see how that goes for him. But yeah, it's not a bad build.
Yeah, and we know that Joel Worth must be a pancake-eating motherfucker in the Sonny Weaver division. Let's move on. He crushed that draft. Let's talk about Jacob Smith. Why not? In the Candyman division, he loves Lamar Jackson. Love Jahmyr Gibbs and Evan Ingram here. And then it just continues to get better and better. I love this draft. I'm not a massive Jameson Williams fan, but he's someone who could be utilized back there during kickoffs if Detroit tries to get crazy. Someone like Calvin Austin as well. I know they have in Pittsburgh Cordero Patterson now, but Calvin Austin has been utilized as a returner before. Those are the 2 that stand out to me as kind of I don't know draft picks, but those guys could pay off big too. And then I love the upside shot here of Nick Chubb in the 12th, Ray Davis in the 15th. Jawan Johnson, who you talked about before, in the 20th. I mean, I love this build. I think it was a really good choice, but he also has a lot of the same guys I do. So what are you thinking about this one, Justin?
Yeah, like It's like the Ingram pick is a little interesting. Like I get it. If you think he has the potential to repeat what he did, then yeah, it's like a smash value. I'm left wanting a little bit more with this build.
Sure.
Mainly in the top 7 picks. Like I think Ramondre is solid for play. I like Cook, he's solid. Pacheco's good. I just wonder where the truly elite producer is coming from outside Lamar and Jameer. Like that's where it feels like I'm missing some truly guys that give me that ceiling range of outcomes. So, and if you see it out of Pacheco, maybe then yeah, like you can talk yourself into it. If you see it out of Cook, I like Cook. I've been preaching Cook for like 2+ years, but I don't ever think he's gonna be a top 5 guy, right? So like when I'm looking at this build, I think it's really good. And I will say Zay in that spot, I really like the value you got on Zay. Like that's a really good pick. He's a year 2 guy who could take a step forward, but it's a little more offense. Like you're never gonna get 600+ pass steps, right? So overall, I think this is a solid build. I prefer the other builds compared to this one. If we're rating on how these rank, this might be my least favorite build so far. But like I think it's decent. Like this just is not how I personally would structure my team, I guess is how I would say. So that's more where I come across it. But yeah, like we're all about how we individual build this. I do wonder, like this feels like it's very much going to be like a borderline playoff team with a lot of players they have, and they'll be in the last few weeks. So like overall, it's fine. You just got to avoid injuries. The whole thing with Aaron Rodgers and like QB22, like he's like, you know what you're getting there. Like I really like the Aaron Rodgers pick that late, where you're getting a guy who, if he's back to the form we've seen in the past years, like he could absolutely smash in this format. So yeah, Aaron Rodgers, that's a good pick right there. I like sometimes you see a build and I'm like, ooh, you're close. Like that's kind of how I feel like it's solid, but I'm like a little bit more.
I feel that. Let's see. Let's go to Elliot Anderson in the Jack Burton division. Why can't I think of who Jack Burton is?
I'm blanking on that too. I'm not. Who's Jack Burton? I'm not sure actually. That's gonna bother me.
Chat maybe.
Oh, Big Trouble Little China, the '80s movie.
Oh yeah, of course. But Anthony Richardson at the 105, which seems a little early, but also doesn't seem a little early at the same time. We love Anthony Richardson. Jonathan Taylor backing it up. Jaden Daniels. You just talked about upside shots, Jesse. You got 4 in a row at the top, and maybe Debo is 5. Yep. Maybe Cooper Kupp in the 7th round. Raheem Mostert for me is the definition of an upside shot. I mean, Justin Fields. This team is loaded with upside, don't you think?
Yeah, this is more my style of draft, as you can tell. Yeah. Like I like them going for their guys and saying YOLO. Like I really think Debo's severely undervalued in this format. Like wide receiver 15, he's gonna outscore that. Like that's just what he does with the rushing upside he has. Like he was the guy I was targeting in the 5th round nonstop. Of course, he went in the 4th round of my draft, and I was like, son of a biscuit. But overall, yeah, like you get Cooper Kupp, who if he's healthy, he'll be really good. T. Higgins, wide receiver 33, like you know the value, and Mostert 26. Mostert's interesting, right? Like we've talked about him being discounted. It's weird that we've gotten so smart with these running backs. We're building in the discount because of the age. He's basically like he's not going to do a deal last year. Nobody should expect that. No. But wide receiver 26, and then you get Jalen Warren. Like, yeah, I think this team is structured in a way they could really hit. And if Justin Fields takes over in the second half of the year, like you could start him over one of the other guys because like he's a monster for fantasy points. It's just that's a very interesting shot. But the upside late, like. Yeah, go for it. Like you get Michael Mayer, Jalen Polk, all these guys. Yeah, and your guy to round it out, Rasheen Ali to round out the cherry on top, right? So yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Oh, let's go. I love it. Yeah. I think some of these later wide receivers I'm a little concerned about. It doesn't matter because he's so deep. After Curtis Samuel, I like Curtis Samuel, but Roman Wilson, Jalen Polk. I mean, Jalen Polk that late is kind of nice. But Wilson and Walker, I'm a little concerned about. I don't think there's a ton of upside there. If you had Lamar, maybe I would understand Walker, but it's not that egregious. We're talking about the last few rounds here.
Right.
The rest of the team is studly.
I'm with you, Richard. I wanted Pitts in the 4th. It did not happen for me, unfortunately.
I got Pitts in the 4th. Let's go.
Yes. Yeah. It's very weird how Pitts is the guy that continues to go in like the tight end 6 range, and I'm like, I don't fully get why he's falling below the other guys. But hey, that's value. I know freaking what's his name took him at 103 because he loves Kyle Pitts. Oh gosh, I was like, yeah,
I know. Who is it? Script, is it?
No. It's Josh. God.
Yeah. No.
He's Mr. Kyle. It's basically his child.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't think of it either.
I know. I feel like an idiot because I brought it up and now I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
I thought this was funny. Let's have a look at it. Warning, sensitive content. It's a
Oh
Scott
boy.
Fishbowl roster.
Oh, oh, good
It's good.
Lord.
You know it's good from Brad over here. Brad
Aroused,
Duff.
baby. I am roused,
This
Brad.
this is the roster sensitive content. What are we thinking about this build, Jesse,
That's
from
incredible.
Brad?
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw somebody put out a little thing on Jamar Chase where they're like, "Why are we thinking he could be the wide receiver one? It's not possible with him." And I was like, "Bro, what are we doing here? Like, this is wild." Yeah, Chase is the stat. Jay Daniels.
Here you go, Jesse.
It's Smokey. Thank you, it's Smokey. God, I freaking had him on the show. And I can't believe it. I feel like it's such an idiot. Yeah. This is fun. George Kittle in that value range, Josh Jacobs, volume play. Like, you know what you're getting out of this team. It's really fun. Yeah. Cooper and Ridley, like Cooper, it's if Watson takes a step forward, Cooper's smashing the value. Ridley, it's really him or Hopkins. I don't really care. I prefer Hopkins, but I take a guy. Tavier Gibson. Sure. I do wonder taking Gibson like that early if you needed to do that, but like it's fine. We're in the 10th round. It's really not going to kill you. You got your quarterbacks. I will say the whole Will Levis, Gardner Minshew scares the crap out of me. If I take Will Levis in this format, and I wouldn't even really about Minshew. I would go get another guy, like another quarterback that I could start potentially, because that's what shows up to me out of this. I really like this build, but the Will Levis pick is the one where I'm like, that could kill your team. Like that could legit if you don't, and maybe you're not worried about because maybe you're going to flex Gibson in that spot, and that's fine because I know Dave Cruz has talked about this a bunch. Like, you don't have to have a QB2, and I've seen teams push it. Like, you could flex return guys and give you the points for that. So if your thought process is I could just use Gibson in that spot, then absolutely go for it. Yeah. So that the whole Will Levis pick worries me, but if he hits, yeah, it's good. I just don't think he really like the format does not benefit Will Levis. My whole process. I think overall it's a fun build though. It's a very fun build.
Here's another one from Luke Woodford. Again, fading quarterback a little bit. Trevor and then Bryce Young follows it up with Penix. I liked this because he's got, maybe it was another team who did this as well, so it's not the same guy. But he took Drake London at 408. I assume he missed out on Kirk Cousins. Circles back with Michael Penix late, just in case. I think that's a really smart strategy. I saw another build where he took London and Pitts, probably missed on Cousins, and then took Penix late. So I love that strategy there as well. Here, you got the two top tight ends, CD Lamb and Drake London to start, and you still end up with Trevor. This isn't bad, is it?
Yeah, like it's CMC or CD Lamb are the two biggest difference makers in this format. You could say Tyreek Hill based on like the position and how much they score. If they do what they did last year, like they're going to smash. I know we said fade wide receiver, but like CD Lamb's the one guy or Tyreek Hill or the width. You go with them early, like I totally get that because the difference making that they have. But yeah, like it's Lawrence, you got Nico. Like you could tell how they took advantage of the format and they waited, they got Tila. But like this circles back to Bryce Young on the whole QB situation. If you want to go the returner, I don't see a returner on this roster that's really going to give them the upside in the flex. So that's the whole thing that worries me with this build. That's the one thing that stands out. But yeah, you got London, you got Nico, you got Higgins, Deontay. We love that pick. I really like Deontay being Wicks in the 15th. Like he could be Green Bay's wide receiver one. Do I think it's likely? But hell no, it's the 15th round. Like you can do that. And if J.K. Dobbins comes, like there's ways this roster could work out really well. I wish there was another like super flex or return guy that you could put in there because as much as I like Bryce Young, like dude, he needs to take a massive jump. And maybe it happens this year. And if you like Bryce Young, like then that's your guy. You got the stack with Deontay Johnson, so you're halfway there. But overall, yeah, like another roster I like a lot. It's just that one aspect I'm like, ooh, that part worries me. But if Penix works out, then hell yeah, like that's great.
The other thing that worries me is only 4 running backs. I've seen that a few times going through some of these rosters that were submitted. For me, I know we only need to start 1 running back. It still terrifies me if you're going essentially 0 RB here. It's Zamir White. You hope he holds up to the workload. You hope he gets the workload that he's promised. But then again, he's on a team who isn't kind of demanding that the workload is going to be good. Who knows what's going to happen with that offense. Chase Brown, who's likely in a timeshare. I like the value there, but a lot of things kind of have to go right for just these 4 running backs. For me, in this format, with the volume running backs paying off because of the, what is it? 0.1 is 1/10 of a point per carry. And then you get the receiving chops as well. So that's the only concern I have here.
Yeah, it's the rushing first down, the point per carry, like all that stuff. Like it's not necessarily the receiving backs that get the bonus. Like you get 0.5, for first downs for receptions. But like it's the volume guys, and that's what I want. So if you can find yourself volume guys late, like, and maybe that's Zamir White. I know people are talking about it. I don't think it's going to be, but can you talk yourself into Zamir White at RB24 prices? Sure. Like, and if he smashes and hits that, then yeah, you'll feel a lot better about this roster if Zamir White hits. That's the one thing that stands out too. It's like, all right, we need Zamir. You got to do it for us, big dog. Time to eat. I mean, he looks like a tank, so you might as well invest in the tank.
I got time for 2 more here. This one looks kind of interesting.
Ooh,
yeah, there's some players we haven't talked. There's some players we haven't talked about here. This is Bo the Bandit, Darville Bandit. I don't know what.
It's got to be
division that is. Bo the Bandit. Is that like a dog? But BJ O'Rourke's build. Yeah, probably right. BJ O'Rourke's build. You got Tyreek Hill first. You got Sam Laporta second. Dak, and then stacking him with Jake Ferguson, Evans, Jones, Baker. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting pieces here at the top. And then, of course, he rounds it off with Chuba, Jerome. Yeah, we go from Smokey's love of pits to Smokey and the Bandit over here. Professional segues only at the double FU.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, DJ Dallas, Justice Hill, like I really like some of these picks here. I think this is a solid team. What are you thinking?
Yeah. I definitely like some of the upside shots they took late. Like DJ Dallas is likely the kickoff return guy, so like that's why you take him there. Darius Davis, he's going to play both roles in that both return specialists. So yeah, like you get some return guys on the team. You have, I mean, Terry McLaurin's wide receiver 36 prices. Like I know we're kind of lower on Terry McLaurin, but it's wide receiver 36 in the 9th round. You know what I'm saying? You flip him with pick your wide receiver in that range, Deontay, whoever it is, right? Like you kind of get your guy to roster. Mike Evans, continually a guy that's going to do good things for you. I think he had 19 points per game in this format. I worry about Jones there. Like that does worry me a little bit. I'm a little skeptical of Jones. And then it's the quarterback situation. If you're going to fade quarterback and you go with the Baker Mayfields and you take him as round 7 as opposed to Aaron Rodgers in round 10 or 11, like I would much rather just push it a little bit later if I'm going for that build of quarterback. That's my whole concern with those guys, right? Because in the 7th round, there's some really, really good players available. So if I could flip this roster and swap Gus Edwards with one of those, if it's Geno in round 10, and then round 7, I go get a guy I really like that's going to be in my starting roster. Like the way roster construction works, I much prefer that type of build. The Freiermuth picks is very interesting. Russell Wilson doesn't target the middle of the field. He never has. So I don't know how it's going to work for Freiermuth this year. Maybe they figure it out with Arthur Smith, but Arthur Smith is really good concepts for tight ends in general. It's just if Freiermuth runs all the routes and does all that stuff. We'll see, man. I don't know. This build, I'm curious to see how this turns out because I'm a little bit lower on this build. But yeah, they took some upside shots. I don't mind it. You got Jason Sanders, who's always a good value. You can talk yourself into this build. It's just this one is not a strategy I would go about doing just because of how they went about orchestrating the roster personally.
Fair. I hear you. We got 2 more here. I said 1, but let's share this one. We found our guy.
There he is.
Smokey, Kyle Pitts, the 103. Let's go. Give us a quick rundown here, especially with all those running backs at the end of the draft.
That's how you do it.
Total fade of running backs. I love it. What are you thinking about this one, Justin?
Yeah, that's how you do it. You go get the true guy in this format who could be there on RB1, Jonathan Taylor, or very close to, because he put up 29 points per game 2 years ago. T-Law Williams, and then you get guys that have serious upside: Debo, Waddle, Tank Dell, Jaden Reed, and a couple of those guys have return specialties. Rome Odunze, he could shock the world, be the wide receiver 1 there. I'm not saying it's the most likely scenario. It's definitely possible he could do that. Then he gets this QB3 and Bryce Young. He takes upside shot on Justin Fields. I don't mind it. If he plays or if he gets returned for you, that's a win-win right there. Pearsall, maybe, another return guy. Then we get a couple upside shots on tight ends. And then, like you talked about, hammer running backs. If you can't get returners, who we got Turpin late, that's a good pick. If you can get the returners, the running backs or tight ends late, those are the positions you should be hammering because those guys they have theoretical massive upside shots as opposed to wide receivers late in this range, unless you're getting returners. They're not going to be different speculators. That's just not how it works because wide receivers don't come out. I know we had freaking Puka Nacua do it last year. It's not happening again this year. Puka's a once in a generation type thing that doesn't happen. So overall, this is just a really fun build and one I like. Smokey's smart. He knows what he's doing. This, you can tell this comes across. Leaned into the format. Well done, bravo. I like it.
Rome in the 10th to stack with Caleb. Gotta love it.
They took Rome in the 10th for me. I was like, no.
Friend of the show and everyone's show, Zach Attack, Chalupa Batman in the Maverick division. Fading quarterback here with the bully tight end build and the return guys in the entire second half of the draft. I don't even know who Joshua Carty is. It says here he's a place kicker in the 21st round for the Rams. Okay, I don't know who that is. I'll tell you what.
Check it out.
I'll tell you what. I love this team as well. If you're gonna fade quarterback, I think you do it like this. Matt Stafford is a nice value. If you're not selecting a rushing QB, for me, you need to be selecting a guy who has 40 passing touchdown capabilities. And in that case, Matt Stafford is absolutely that guy. Will Levis probably isn't that guy, but at least he can run. And he's stacked with Calvin Ridley. What are you thinking here about Zach's build?
Yeah, like like we talked about earlier with taking Baker on the 7th, I'd much rather take a shot on a Will Levis, one of those guys on the 10th. So if I'm pushing my QB2, like do that. And then what you do is you get these returners who have monumental upside that you can play in the super flex spots. So Mims, Gibson, Turpin, all those guys, right? Like they check off that box. Anthony Gold is going to be the returner for the Colts, another guy. Like you do that. You get the running backs late. You get Marshawn Lloyd, Tyron Tracy, Elijah Mitchell. If an injury happens to CMC, like we've seen it before, Elijah Mitchell is the RB2 in San Francisco. Like there's fantasy upside there. So yeah, 100%. Like you do, and you go get the greatest returner of all time, Cordarrelle Patterson. I said it. He's the greatest returner of all time, folks. Stop fading him.
He is.
So yeah, like this is just really fun build, and he knows what he's doing. You could say. I mean, that's really bully ball tight end. Like that's fun. Yeah. Like you get McBride, Andrews, and Pitts, and you love life. It's gonna be like. There will be some monster weeks where you look at this team, you're like, man, my team absolutely went bonkers. It's just, I got no qualms with this roster at all.
We're going to sneak a few in, try and get a couple of the guys who are in the chat. First, I found Richards. So let's talk about it. What are you thinking about this build? Mini bully. What are we thinking?
Yeah. Hey, you got so we talked about this. Like we wanted 2 top 6 tight ends. Like this was something we specifically talked about going in like early. Ingram. I'm a little skeptical on Ingram, but like I get the strategy going for it. So yeah, you get McBride, Ingram. If you view him as a top 5 guy, then hell yeah. You got Debo. Volume workhorses are awesome in this format. So Jacobs, Najee Harris, Nick Chubb. If Nick Chubb is healthy, like that's a really good pick. I don't know what the hell's going on with Nick Chubb. He just did that tsunami bar bench thing. So maybe Nick Chubb is just truly not made of this earth and will come back. And if he does, you'll love that pick. Zeke Elliott, crazy. Another value. And then you take shots on the wide receiver. So you like Josh Downs, the upside shot of a returner. Dulcich, Johnny Woods. That's actually the second time we've seen that with Dulcich and Johnny Woods going back to back. Ty Chandler, and then you get some kickers in the end, and you just rolled it. I like the Kenny Nwangu pick specifically because he's one of the guys that's going to give you probably 1,000 yards just with kick returns. He's a really good returner, so that pick late seems like a really good value.
Yeah, and if DJ Chark is the number 1 wide receiver in Los Angeles, probably wouldn't be that shocked, although the Lad McConkey lovers of the world
would specifically be
shambles.
I wouldn't be so shocked if Sharks the wide receiver wanted the Chargers.
Hey, crazier things have happened. I don't think we went through Dave's, so let's do it now. Dave's in the chat. What are we thinking about this? I love the wide receivers later here, especially starting with Mike Evans. We love Derrick Henry and James Cook. Laporta hurts. I mean, it's really hard to argue with this. Obviously, you know what he's doing. What are we thinking here?
Yeah, I mean, you get Kyron and Derrick Henry right there. You're just really just like, guess what? These workhorses are going to just really just rocked up, ready to go. I mean, like even if Kyron gets 80% of his workload, he's still at 20 points per game in this format. Like that's the whole thing with Kyron. Like he can suffer and still be really good for you. So yeah, like we've been in the 105 chats with Dave. Dave's been like doing a lot of stuff in that group chat. It's been really fun talking with him in there. Yeah, like Gibson's the return guy. Brendan Aubrey is the kicker 1, so you potentially have the kicker 1 again. If you like Jerry Jeudy, like that's a good value on Jeudy. I'm not a Jeudy guy, but like you can talk yourself into it, right? Maybe he passes, David Njoku is the wide receiver 2 in that offense. Like there's things to talk about. Williams, volume. Gus Edwards, a volume guy. I know Justin Henry had him at 300 carries. So if that happens, like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's ways to do it with this team. Damian Pierce, kick returner. Cordarrelle Patterson, kick returner. Like you're taking shots on what this format really values. So yeah, like this is how you can do it. You might miss, but you take those shots and you lean into the scoring. That's all you can really do. So yeah, 100% I like it, Dave.
Yeah, Dave crushing it. I'm stalling here because I'm looking for the ones that guys posted in the thread who are in the chat, but let's talk about not that one. Here we go. Insane fade from Rob. What are you thinking about Rob's fade here? I love this. This was a unique one that I saw. I don't know if I love Jake Ferguson as the only tight end here, but Jesse, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I would struggle to talk myself into Judy as well too. So no.
I used to not struggle with that, and now it's all I do is struggle with that. I
Yeah,
can't
you're
do it
like,
anymore.
Judy life is fun.
Done.
Yeah, I mean, this is really leaning into those running backs like Kamara. I mean, you know what you're getting now, Kamara. I do wonder the upside. I think it's probably going to be a little more capped this year, but you got HN, you got McCaffrey, you got AJ Brown. AJ Brown picked there. That one's tough just because I don't think he's going to get enough targets to be like the CD Lamb of the world. I would just more orchestrate my roster build a little bit different, where I would go like running back and then maybe go for, instead of Jacobs, I'd take a wide receiver there, flip it a little bit that way. But AJ Brown's so good. Like, it's really hard to fade anyone for taking AJ Brown. Mm-hmm. I like the Ferguson's the last guy you can talk yourself into 100 targets, like of the tight ends. So like waiting and going on him, that's kind of what I did with Njoku. Like in the 6th round, I just took the guy I like there. If you want to go for it, because it's good. And then the Godwin, who's severely undervalued, he's going to beat that ADP. Tank Dell's good. Rashi Rice, that's an upside shot. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to fade quarterback, this is what you do it. You take a bunch of shots late where you're just like, all right, upside with McCarthy, upside with Drake May. You take Bryce Young, you go get Gardner Minshew. Like, yeah, like this is how you do it. If you're going to fade a position, then you absolutely hammer it late where you give yourself as many shots as possible, right? So if you're going to go this way, like this is exactly what you would do, and I would tell someone to do this route. So yeah, bravo on like, I don't know if it was your strategy to completely fade quarterback, but to go do it that way, and like, yeah, that's what it is. And then you get everyone's favorite return guy, Greg Dortch. Hat tip to you for him in the 19th. He went too damn early in mine. I was pissed. He went in the 16th. I was like, I was so bad when he went in the 16th. I was like, damn it. Nice pick on that one. And then, yeah, you get the couple tight ends late and you see how it goes if either one of those guys hit. I like it.
Especially stacking Dortch with Kyler Murray. If you're taking Kyler Murray early, obviously we have no QBs early, but this one's interesting. I found it. We're here. ALWL Saber metrics. All right. What do we got? Mahomes and Burrow. Look, we just said it before. If you're going to take pocket quarterbacks, take the guys who could throw 40 touchdowns. We didn't say take the guys who could throw 50 touchdowns, but obviously if that's a possibility, you take those guys. And here's 2 of them right here. So I love those 2 guys at the top. Moss, Mostert are 2 of my favorites a little bit later. Ty Chandler, I have a ton of him, including in the Scott Fish Bowl here. I love this build. Not a lot of return guys, but still hammering wide receiver and running back after tight end 1 and the 2 quarterbacks off the board. I did the same thing.
Yeah, I like, you got Mims in the 11th, and then Darius Davis is like the 2 return guys that stand out in the 17th. Like, Darius Davis is going to do both for the Chargers. Marvin Mims should do both. And he's that upside in offense. So if Mims hits, this is the whole thing with in this format, Mims could be a monumental value. He started to get pushed up in the 7th, and like the later we went on in drafts, like people found out his ADP, he kept creeping, similar to Rashid Shaheed. That's why I took him in the 5th. I was like, fuck, the ADP's climbing. I hate him. But yeah, like you got Hollywood Brown. Like, I don't think people should be surprised if Hollywood Brown's wide receiver 1 for Kansas City this year. It's entirely possible because I just think he's a better version of what Xavier Worthy does. I mean, obviously there's injuries and stuff like that, but I know people are big into Worthy. I would take Brown at cost over him. Moss, Mostert, solid values. Ty Chandler, yeah, like you take your shots on these running back rooms late, and if Justice Hill hits late for you, like that's a smash. If Henry goes down, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm with you, Dan. Like, I really like the volume on Hollywood and your wide receivers. Like, that's fun stuff, and I lean into it. The Kincaid pick, that's very nice too. I like getting a difference-making tight end early in the 3rd. So yeah, you kind of attacked what you needed to attack, and then you orchestrated your roster around that build. That's all you can do, right? So hell yeah, like I like it.
100%. I'm stalling because I'm trying to find Atomic's stuff. He says, Cody Betts 74, Luke Hobbs. I'm doing my best here.
Yeah, Zach, we just did yours a little bit ago. But we can timestamp it later.
You have to watch back. We're not. We can't go back. We can only go forward.
Can't go back.
But you're in here. We might. We might bookmark it. Probably not. Good luck. I'm struggling. Atomic. I can't find you, man.
Well, he's up. He posted earlier in the chat. It's like a different name. It's something else.
I'm searching.
It's Cody Betts 74. COTY Betts.
But if he didn't, but I'm scrolling through our thread. If he didn't comment in the thread, I'm not searching it on.
I got you.
I mean, I could. You want to stall for 2 minutes?
Sure.
Tell them
Yeah,
where they can find us, Jesse.
yeah.
Tell them where they can find
I
us and
mean,
what we're doing.
if you're, I don't know how you would find us if you haven't already, and you're like, oh, hey, find us on. They're
Yeah,
streaming here, but
other
yeah, no,
spots.
I think the whole, like, we talk about this a lot with the New England wide receiver room. That's a wide receiver room people should take shots on. Demario Douglas, Jalen Polk, they're going super late. Demario Douglas, he gets also the punt returning boost, which is also a little bit nice. I don't like they've talked about him doing that, and like out of camp, he's been the top guy in that backfield. So it's not going to surprise anyone. He should be the wide receiver one there. If he's not, like, I like taking the upside shot on Polk, which is what I would do later too. So like you take a shot on that, and it works out. I think the Giants offense, as abysmal as it sounds and that fun stuff, like you still get a shot at a potential tight end who could be the number 2 guy in his team in targets. And that's what we always talk about. We want a guy that's top 2, even though that offense is likely Juju. You got somebody that you could actually see them being different maker in this format. So yeah, I like it.
Cody, I got lost in the threads, man, but we found you. We got you. Thank you. Fantasy Life, the SFB tool, which is, remind me, now I'm blanking on the name. Who put this whole thing together? We were using his.
Oh, Josh
his
ADHD.
tool. Yeah, see, of course.
He was
put
on
this together
week before. Yeah.
for years. We've been using this tool now. Matt Berry and company made sure that they, were able to implement the tool on their website. So thank you to them for that. This will be the last roster that we review. Atomic Cody, thank you, sir, for hanging in there. Anthony Richardson, we love him. Jordan Love, I love him. Travis Kelce, who doesn't love him? We got Debo, we got Malik, Zay, upside wide receivers galore. AK, Benson, Corum, Lloyd, Tracy. I really like this team, and the returner's late, and it looks like he's not done. So interested who you would take, Atomic, with the last pick. Put that in the chat. We'll throw it up while Jesse tells you how much he hates this team.
Yes. Boo this man. I think he's more than likely to go to take kick returner because that is what he has been targeting the last 2, or a tight end. Like, I mean, you have Kelce, you don't need a tight end, but like, there's what else is good available this way second round? Like, there's tight ends that are absolutely buried, like we talked about, so you could go get one of those guys. Yeah, or Jeremy's favorite backup running back, Rashid Ali. If Henry goes down, it gets really interesting for Rashid. And I don't want anybody to get injured, but we always talk about scenarios if someone gets injured. Like, yeah, you want a guy to pathway to be the number 1 running back on the team. If he's already the RB2. Justice Hill, like, he's proven he's not it. Keaton Mitchell. I don't know why Keaton Mitchell has an ADP. Like, I literally am questioning what people are doing. Like, he is way too high. So I see people taking Keaton Mitchell.
Will he be back?
Dude, that knee is like and that knee bent backwards like 90 degrees. Like, it's a frightening injury. So I'm like, yeah, you thought I'm bad on Nick Chubb? Yeah, I'm not touching Keaton Mitchell. That's something. I like Dortch. You took Gibson. Those are 2 high impact returner guys there. Tyrone Tracy, another guy who could be the RB1 on his offense and also gives you kick return abilities, right? Marshawn Lloyd, there's been plenty of steam coming out of Green Bay about Marshawn Lloyd, where they're trying to get him as involved as possible. So we'll see how much he impacts Jacobs, but he gives you a shot there. Drake May, I love that shot because Drake May is like a rushing trembling quarterback. I know a lot of people don't think it, but he's a guy that continually his time in North Carolina ran for a lot of yards. So he should be good in this format. And I know we're discounting the Patriots to basically bottom level offense. What happens if that offense surprises, which is my whole case with the Patriots? Like, that offense could surprise where they're better than we all expect. And you're getting that entire offense discounted at really good prices because it happens every year. Like, this happened a couple of years with the Seahawks and these other teams. Like, you see them step forward. Same thing with like the Buccaneers last year. Like, people were like, oh, I don't want the offense. What happens? They show you. So now, do I think it's the most likely scenario? No, I don't. Obviously, I don't. But there's upside there. So overall, yeah, I like the way you went in building. I don't think I would have attacked wide receivers hard in that middle round range there with like the McLaurins and Reed and those guys. I might have mixed it around a little bit, but like, you're insulating your roster with a position on top of Debo. I would have theoretically, I would have flipped the build with the wide receivers and the running backs at like 10 and 11. I would have like structured that differently, taken a couple shots on like those impact more running backs in round 8 because I know a couple guys that go there, and then I would have gone wide receivers real late. But if you like the guys you took, then yeah, like you like the guys you took, so that's all good. So yeah, 100% Atomic. The wide receiver room is wide open.
Yep, absolutely. And then Zamit, I assume that's Zamir. Did he take Zamir? I missed it.
No, he's talking about the rugby player for the Chiefs.
The rugby
Luis,
from Australia or New Zealand? Or is he?
I don't know. Like, I don't want to say. It's one of the two. I'm assuming New Zealand's the rugby place. So yeah, it's probably New Zealand, but I don't know.
Hey, because CEH is a bum. He is. He could also be the number 2 running back. This is
Yes,
true. It's
very
Pacheco or
much so.
bust, baby. Pacheco
Yeah,
or bust.
100%. Pacheco's good value.
Yep.
I like it a lot.
But we love this. So let's see. Let's talk to the people. We are the Fantasy Football Universe. We do this everywhere, as Jesse was talking about. Please come check us out. We're posting daily content. We were very much, happy and honored to be invited to the Scott Fish Bowl once again. It was an awesome process for me. I know Jesse's still enjoying the process himself.
Yes, sir.
We got lots going on. But we're going to try to do these sorts of things regularly and just kind of, keep things top of mind, continue to grow the brand that we just started in January. So we really appreciate you guys joining us. And we'll be back tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And, that's the type of thing that we're looking for, just to kind of grow a community and keep talking ball as much and as long as we possibly can,
I mean, we're going to do as long as we can. As long as the people like it, we'll keep doing it. If all of a sudden we get like 0 views, like, all right, we might need to do something else. But in the meantime, it's working out. So yeah, we're degenerates. We love football. This is what it's all about. So yeah, we're happy to share like our passion with you guys and connect with you guys, because this is what makes it all together. You build a community and form it. So yeah, this is the fun before really it gets chaotic in the season and all the stuff going on. We got a little time to have some fun with this stuff. So yeah, I love doing this stuff. Like I could do this all day for sure.
Yep. And just a quick note, we're going to sign off here, but I'm going to jump on with Ryan Prosick live in a couple of minutes. We're going to draft a best ball mania team together. We don't have Underdog over here in Amsterdam. I've never drafted on Underdog before, so this will be interesting. Ryan's going to take us through the process because he's done it at least 150 times already this year. So that's coming up next from us. But Jesse, you want to take us out? Let's keep it interesting.
Yeah, and for everybody who is not already subscribed, if you could subscribe, like all the fun stuff to the channel, it's very much appreciated. The more feedback you get from you, like the more we will reward you guys with that. So yeah, make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Like I could list them all off, but it feels like there's just 50,000 of them, so we could be here all day. But anyways, we appreciate you. So for myself, for Jeremy, the other 2 knuckleheads who are doing whatever they're doing, SC and Aaron, wherever they're at, we'll take off. Yeah, doing something.
Jobs.
That real life stuff. I don't know what the hell that is. That's nonsense. Why would you do that? We'll do this instead. But yeah, for that, we're gonna see you later. So see you, folks.